fire, fire. Low down and feel.
This week on the $1 Million Plans, we take a look at how real estate investments have an impact on someone's $1 Million day. And our guest joins us from the West Coast, which many say is the best coast, but it wouldn't be me because I'm a ginger. Jeff, welcome to the program.
Hi, Pete. How you doing?
Good. You know, I was just on my family vacation in Hilton Head, in which I had my shirt off for about a week on a beach in front of thousands of people, and I'm not comfortable with that.
How's your sunburn now?
It's tamed down. You know, here's the thing. First day, I'm pretty good on the back. Second day, my 8-year-old daughter was like, "Dad, can I spray on your sunscreen?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. What the hell?" And so now it's not so great. It's like a Jackson Pollock on my back. But we're not here to talk about my pastiness. We're here to talk about whether or not you take your shirt off at the beach, Jeff.
Yeah, you know, I try to because I try to get my skin a little bit darker. I'm not a ginger, but I'm also quite pasty. I hail from the Midwest originally, so yeah, I'm pretty scary though. The first like 10 times I take my shirt off the beach. My wife sometimes tells me to put my shirt back on, but I tell her that if I'm gonna get tan, I've got to keep trying.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, how old a fella are you?
I'm 34, and my wife Maud is also 34.
We're going with fake name Maud.
Yeah, Jeff and Maud. It's a tribute to one of my favorite movies.
Of course. And you have a child or no children or dogs? What do we got?
Yeah. We got a 13-month-old daughter.
Okay.
And she just started walking.
All right. And what do you do for your household income is pretty high. Well, what do you guys do for a living?
Okay, so I'm a rocket salesman. I work for an aerospace
Wait,
startup.
time. You're a rocket salesman?
Kind of, yeah. I work for SpaceX, which is based in Hawthorne. I am part of a team, the overall team that does sales to our customers. So it's a lot of engineers talking to other engineers, and I have an engineering background, so that's kind of my comfort zone. But I also get to help the company grow as we prepare to eventually go to Mars.
So I'm now involved with the Mars mission, Nicole. Did you realize
you
this?
You are, yeah.
This is a good thing. So help me understand, how often is the joke, "This is rocket science," used at work?
It's we definitely have a lot of mugs and other paraphernalia that say something about rocket science.
Yeah.
There's a guy who walks around with a pin that says, "I'm a rocket scientist."
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So does your wife, Maud, is she also working?
Yeah, well, she's in between jobs, but she's been working in the legal field for a while, and she's actually gonna start working again as kind of a background investigator. But she's kind of just trying different career paths right now. I think she might switch, and then she's also, for the time being, staying at home taking care of our daughter.
So what's the end all? What's the goal for you financially? You think about your financial life, and sure, you want to get someone on Mars. I mean, who doesn't? Specifically, if it's Matt Damon, because Matt Damon's been there.
Yeah.
He knows how to behave there. By the way, did you read the book before you saw the movie?
Oh man,
The Martian?
no, unfortunately not. But a lot of my coworkers did, and so I'm not proud of that. I hope I can read it, but actually, there are a lot of corrections that we have actually given to the author about the story. Like the physics on Mars that he said are a little bit different in real life than they are in the novel, but the story is a little bit more dramatic. So they had to change the physics of it.
I like that you Mars-splained something to the author
a
of a
bit.
book. I always love when, as an author, people send me notes about how my stuff's wrong. That's endearing. So, overall, sure, we want to get someone on Mars, but your financial life, you and Maud, what's the point? What are you trying to do? What do you want to do?
So, we just want to have a good, basically raise our daughter really well. We want to let her, try all the things she wants to try. Travel with her, pay for, private lessons for whatever she wants to do, whatever she takes interest in. Like if she wants to be a pianist or a rock climber or something, we want to just let her do that. And so right now, our goals have changed a lot from before, where I was kind of more selfishly maybe thinking of I could, retire early or something like that. But the more, I got thinking about our family, the more I thought, our daughter's really important to us. And then, also our parents who are getting older, we want to make sure that we can, kind of step in and help them out if they need it.
Sure. And
Yeah.
let's get weird here for a second. I mean, I keep going back to the Mars thing, but let's be honest, that's sort of a career thing. It's not like, well, we got there in 2019, so we're good to go. Like this is an ongoing effort. Which, if you wanted to continue to be a rocket salesperson, you probably could for quite some time.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we're definitely in this for the long haul, and we're not going to get to Mars for several years. But after we get there, there's going to be a lot of stuff to do. There's going to be starting your the first pizza restaurant on Mars, and the first hotel, the first Airbnb. So yeah, I think this is a company that I can definitely see myself working with for a very long time.
So what's unique about your situation, you've chosen early on to create wealth via real estate as opposed to the stock market. Talk to us about that, because for people that are typically on this program, that's not the case. But I'm very interested to know your theory and how you were able to do this.
Okay, so actually my wife Maud gets all the credit for this.
Nice.
She's awesome. She's like super smart and more gutsy than I am about this kind of stuff, because I was always just like just save money, under a mattress until some later date. But when we got married, she said, you know what, let's she comes from more of an entrepreneurial family. Her parents have their own small business, and she always just grew up with that it's better to invest and go for bigger growth than to just let things sit. So she convinced me to buy our first condo in 2012, and then we stayed there for a couple of years. We sold it, and then we just saw the opportunities. Kind of the market was still really good, and the interest rates were really low. So we kind of just kept finding property that we thought was a good value and buying and selling, and we've done a few so far. And yeah, I think that's probably as big of a contributor to our financial situation now as anything I've done.
Yeah, I mean, so you, from a property value standpoint, your homes are worth. You have one at $830,000, another one at $700,000. Which, again, we're talking L.A. So
it's LA.
It's L.A.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a one-bedroom brothel.
Yeah, seriously. It's a 2-bedroom condo and like a 4-bedroom townhouse, but both of them are like less than 2,000 square foot. So we're not like living like kings exactly. I mean, you could definitely buy like a really nice place almost anywhere else in the country for like a quarter of the price.
But you do have $500,000 in equity between the two.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really that's where I'd like to focus the attention, because one of your questions is, should you keep doing what you're doing in terms of buying another house when you can and looking at that growth in the real estate market? Well, let's look at the dangers of that. I mean, your household income right now is over $300,000 a year. I have to think one of the dangers of this is income going down, and then at the same time, because of the economy and the situation in which your income would go down, that it would be tough to rent to people. Thus, you'd have empty houses and not the income to support the mortgages. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's something that I'm a little concerned about. I think my wife is just focused on, for the place we're renting out, just keeping them because we really like them as tenants.
Sure.
And then and then as far as the place we're living in, just stay there, and it's a rent that we can afford. And and she still wants to find another good deal, but the market has come up considerably since 5 years ago. So we're okay cooling it for a little while, or we've even thought about looking in other metro areas to invest, but we're kind of nervous about that. So I kind of doubt we're going to end up doing that.
Yeah,
that's a concern of mine.
So I have family out your way, and it's interesting, right? And their situation is probably not too different from yours. That you really can capitalize on a lifestyle like this if you move out of LA, right? Mm-hmm. If at any point in time you're like, we're going to go somewhere else in the country that's not San Francisco, Seattle, or Manhattan, then you're instantly real estate geniuses, right?
Gotcha.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you feel like to buy another property, do you even know what a range would be for you?
Yeah, we were actually looking at a place here that was going for about $500,000 which is actually a deal here, believe it or not.
Sure.
But we lost on it because somebody wanted to pay like $550 for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what would
Yeah,
what would you
really-
put down on something like that? I mean, you have $100,000 in your emergency fund, about 100,000.
Yeah, we were talking about just putting 20% down, and
Okay.
then if we need a few extra thousand, just like borrow it from family for like a few months and then pay it back.
Yeah, you do. I do see that one of your debts is you have $160,000 that family
Yeah.
gifted you for down payment. Let's talk about that because that can get awkward.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I put that on because I really wanted to get your perspective on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Sure. So
tell me
okay,
about
so
it.
they gave us. So yeah, right. So they actually, we had a good situation where Maud's parents had a place and they didn't want to pay the mortgage anymore, and they asked us if we would just take it over for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we did. We took it over. We found tenants, and then we sold it. So I mean, it was a gift. I mean, they said it was a gift, but I feel like anything that big is like I can't just take that for granted, and my wife feels the same way. So I feel like it's the right thing to do to pay them back.
So okay, so I gotta get some further clarification here.
Sure.
The $160,000 was sort of the profit on the home. Is that basically what happened?
It was like the down payment. What we figured was the down payment and what they paid into the house, because they'd owned it for a few months, but then they just realized that they didn't want to manage it anymore. So then they just let us basically like let us buy it from them, and then so that's how we came to own that one.
And are they financially secure by any objective measure, or are they not?
I mean, I think so. I mean, one thing that I worry about is, well, first of all, they're doing pretty well in their business. They've transitioned really well to kind of like the online marketplace from like the brick and mortar. They're doing a lot more sales online now. But I'm a little worried that the house they live in is a little bit too much house. Like it's more house than they need, and it's a lot of money. Housing's expensive here, so I worry about that. But they don't seem to be too concerned about it. So I could see them needing the money though at some point. So I'd like to just have it there.
How's Maud feel about it?
She just doesn't really want to worry about it too much. But she does feel like we need to pay them back for that. So I'm definitely treating that as a responsibility that we have.
Your situation's really interesting because with the sort of income you have, you can create some serious wealth. I mean, at $320 a year, and that's with her trying to between jobs, right?
That was last year, so between jobs, it's going to be a little bit less this year, but
Okay.
it'll be in the neighborhood. Yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you're going to have a lot of freedom, and I think. When it gets into real estate investing, and by no means am I a real estate investing expert, by no means am I a real estate investing expert, but that's how you can make a ton of money when you live in a city like LA. And even when the real estate market crashes, it really kind of doesn't in LA. It's not like the rest of the country.
Yeah, actually, that's what we noticed is that we're based like in the South Bay. There's still so many people who are making really high incomes that will still want to buy those places, and the supply of housing is still really low. So yeah, it's not totally immune, but it's more immune than other areas.
Yeah, so here's a couple things that to think about with your situation. Let's say you bought another house for $500. You have $100,000 in savings right now. I would be a little nervous to have 3 properties and no money in your emergency fund. That would freak me out a little bit.
Sure.
I mean,
That makes sense.
and then I think the other factor in this too is you do have $1 million in life insurance, which is great. But you said you don't have a will or a trust, which
Right.
also makes me nervous with so much real estate, right?
Right. Yeah, we know we've got to do it. It's just been since we had the baby, we just have been pushing it off, but which is like the opposite of what we should do. But we've just been busy, so I know we have to do that.
So you totally drive a Tesla, don't you?
I wish. No, I don't. I'm thrifty. I drive a Honda CRV because that's a great family car.
Yeah.
But my coworkers have Teslas.
Yeah. I would assume everyone at SpaceX has a Tesla.
There's definitely a lot. Yeah.
Let's hit your typical $1 million day because it is interesting. You only have $9,800, or pardon me, $9,800 set aside for the long term. with 2,200 or so a month going there, which would make your $1 million day July 11th of 2034. But when I talk about that, I mean, of course, of just stock market assets. You clearly are at your net worth's north of $600,000 already in real estate and cash. So, and to take that further, at age 67, with just stock market assets doing exactly what you're doing, you'd have $4.45 million in the market at age 67, with a total monthly income of $10,394 a month, which adjusted for inflation and taxes, that's $4,600 a month in today's dollars. And again, that's outside of the bulk of your wealth, which happens to be in real estate, which I think is pretty good balance.
Okay. So you like that allocation? Yeah, I didn't know how how that would seem to you, because some other, I guess, online resources seems like real estate maybe shouldn't be as much of a part of the portfolio as stocks and equities, but maybe that's just because real estate's a little hard to quantify.
Well, usually when you look at those online calculators of asset allocation, that they usually want to see 10% or so in real estate. Those are things like REITs, and those are things like not residential, real estate. So it's completely different. I have no beef with the way you're doing it whatsoever. You remind me of a good friend of mine who he and his wife, very similar income to yours, and their income, their portfolio is about 50% real estate, 50% traditional stock market things, and their life seems pretty similar to what you've outlined here. I have no problem with it, especially given that you're in somewhere like LA as opposed to trying to get this done in like Omaha, Nebraska or something, right? Which is just completely different.
Right. Right.
I see. Here's how I look at your situation. You have short-term stability, given the $100,000 of income, $100,000 in savings. You have long-term some stability if you ignore the real estate and just look at your 401k. But then your midterm, I mean, that's where your life is super interesting. Whether it be 1 year from now or 25 years from now, you can kind of do whatever you want because of all the equity in your homes. So that's what's fascinating to me.
That's actually, I'd really love to get your perspective on that. Like midterm, like where do you think we could go with it? Like what path do you see people doing like in the midterm? Like would starting like a business at some point in the midterm, or I don't know, having more kids, or like taking care of parents. Like those are all things that would cost money that could be really fun.
Yeah, so I think a situation like yours with the income you have, your life has to be about flexibility. So often on this show we talk to people about creating stability. Stability is not an issue for you. Your life financially is about flexibility, which means let's say you get an idea for a business that you want to start in 10 years. So you would just sell one of your rental properties and take the $500,000 in capital to start the business, right? Or here's another thing. Let's say you pay off one of these houses, therefore it becomes a big income property for you, and then you eventually could sell that as an asset down the road. So it really is, and the world is your oyster when you make this sort of money and you're making the decisions you're making. Like if you'd come on here and said you had one property and you have close to zero equity in it and it's pushing you to the limit, I mean, I would be concerned, but yeah, I'm not worried about the rocket salesman today.
Okay. Well, I'll tell my wife Maud that she's done a really good job for us.
She has, and you know what? Timing's interesting, right? Because 2012.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, look, again, not a real estate expert, but I don't see a problem with you guys buying another house as long as you maintain some level of a cash position. And I also would say, and I don't know enough about the company you work for, but if for some reason you had concerns about funding or longevity within that particular industry, then everything I've just said is completely off the table, very frankly.
Okay. So I don't think that we're I don't think we're in trouble. I'm not the kind of person who would make those statements anyways. But
no, I understand. But I'm saying some people are like, well, I'm in the typewriter industry. Things are looking good. It's like, no, the hell they aren't.
Right.
They're not looking good.
So I guess just for sake of conversation, then if looks so good in a couple of years, so what would you maybe change about our plans.
I wouldn't buy another house.
Okay.
That's
That
about
makes
the only thing. I would not buy the other house. I think at some point in time, income like yours, you're constantly looking for tax advantage, right?
Yes.
And so you might want to look into, efficiently saving for college for your daughter, and I mean those sorts of things. That way you can take advantage of time. Time's always, you've sort of gotten lucky with the real estate. They were good decisions, but the market helped you out.
We're lucky.
With college savings, though, you just need time. I mean, you need to start something now, not 5 years from now, because that 5 years is all the difference.
Okay, you'll be glad to hear we did start at 529.
Oh, sweet.
So we've got like $4,000 in there right now. So we're trying to do $500 a month, and then we figure that it'll help when college is like $1 million a year by the time our daughter's 18.
What's your extravagance? Like, what do you waste money on?
Probably just like living in LA, living in
Yeah.
the South Bay. I mean, like we don't go out that much. I mean, our idea of a date is just like going to lunch and somewhere where our daughter can play with the toys. But honestly, we're not super fancy. Like we drive a CRV. We're probably going to buy a Prius in like a few months when my wife goes back to work. We don't have that much extravagance. But living in the South Bay is expensive. I mean, we go out and grab coffees and we don't worry about how much coffees cost. We don't have like a coffee
Sure.
budget or something like that. Yeah, but we just living in the South Bay really.
So I guess here are my action steps. If you feel like there's longevity within your industry, and really stepping back and get other people's perspective. I have no perspective on that, but like smart people's perspective. Then
you're super smart. That's why I want to talk to you.
Well, not about rocket science. It turns out I got a D in college physics. It was my first class. It was an 8 a.m. my freshman year. And my dad was like, "Why did you do that?" And I said, "Dad, this is where I needed your guidance to tell me not to take that course." And so I blamed him for the D.
Well, that's okay because I got an F in one engineering class in college, and they still hired me here.
Oh
so
my
I mean,
gosh.
I didn't get all F's.
We're never going to make it to Mars with people like you in charge. I'm just kidding.
No. It was just for some like engineering class that I didn't like. But that's beside the point. But I think you could, in a recent episode, didn't somebody say that you could work at a paper milling company?
Was that
as an
not?
engineer?
Yeah, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So she drove a Forester, working at a paper mill. That means you should drive like a crotch rocket, like a Ducati, because you sell rockets.
My old boss did drive a crotch rocket.
Oh, that's hilarious. For those that don't know, we're talking motorcycles. We're not talking about like things that you can purchase online.
Absolutely, motorcycles.
CD websites.
Yep.
Okay, so here's what I would do. I would, if you feel like there really is, 5 to 10 years stability at the minimum within what you're doing, I would have no problem with you buying another house as long as you kept some cash back. I think you definitely need to get a will or trust, especially with all the real estate, and especially with the gift/loan from your in-laws, right? Or was it your parents or your in-laws, whoever?
Like if something happens, then like earmark some of that money to go back to them.
Yeah, because
something like that. Okay.
Because look, let's kill you here in a rocket accident here in the next couple of years, and then your wife and your daughter go on with their life, and then your in-laws or whoever's life goes on, but their life gets rough, and then they come back. I mean, you just need some things spelled out there. And then the last thing is more of a try not to forget what I'm about to say, because it doesn't matter now, but it might matter later. If you have significant changes of income, up or down, just look deep within your financial life, because at those income levels, your life gets ruined. I mean this, when you don't adjust your life when your income adjusts. For instance, let's say you go, $220,000 is still a hell of a lot of money, but it's $100,000 less than you're making now. And if for some reason your income shifted back to that, I've seen a lot of people ruin everything because they don't adjust down. So I would just put a feather in your cap on that one.
Yeah, that's something that I'm not worried about it, but I'd like to have a plan. So it's probably something that Maud and I should talk about over a couple of White Russians and just figure out what we want to do.
All the Big Lebowski references. I should start screaming at Donnie at some point.
Oh my gosh.
What else?
Let's see. If you don't mind, not to put you on the spot, you don't have to answer it, but but I know at some point you switched from being a financial planner
Mm-hmm.
to being Pete the Planner,
Sure.
Registered trademark.
Yes.
And so how did you kind of build that into your financial plan, or was it something that it was more of like a emotional decision
Look
that you
at
just had to do it?
Look at you interviewing the host. You know what?
I just- well-
People rarely ask me that question for like, how was I able to do it financially? So there's a couple. I'll be glad to share.
Okay.
In middle part of my investment management career, I figured out that I like teaching people about money more than investing their money. Now, a lot of times you hear people say stuff like that, and it's because they were struggling with the other thing, and therefore they figured out they liked something better. No, I was killing it. I was doing fine. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it anymore. So I put together a plan that allowed me to grow the Pete the Planner business while I was still running my investment business. And so when it got to a point where the Pete the Planner financial wellness business was equal to revenue-wise the other business, I sold the other business. So I sort of weaned myself off. I didn't go all in. And I will also say, being a personal finance expert for a living, I would be a hypocrite if I didn't follow my own advice. So we don't really live on that much money. I'm not cheap, but I don't blow money. It's like I teach people how to live on less and how to be resourceful. So needless to say, it's easy when you live it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but making that plan, I mean, first of all, I know you got a couple of kids, I think,
Yeah,
from
I think
your
so.
show.
Mhm.
But then, I mean, just finding the time to do that. I mean, my hat's off to you.
Nice.
Any pro tips for a guy who might want to do something similar in a few years?
Yeah, here's the advice, and I'll give this openly to anybody, and it's your plan has to work whether you quote unquote hit it big or not, right? So often people let's look at your situation. Let's say you want to start a business and become a billionaire. Hell, I don't really care. Your plan has to work whether that happens or not. And by your plan, I mean funding college, funding retirement. Look at my situation. I do fine financially, but whether I become a New York Times bestseller or I have my own television show on CNBC, my financial plan is not dependent on that. Is that what we're aiming for? Hell yes, that's what we're aiming for. But if I fail at that, I don't fail financially. And I think so often people attach their career aspirations to their financial aspirations, and that's where it all falls apart. Like, no matter what the hell happens, my kids are college are paid for, and I'm going to retire in my 50s. So that way I can focus on what I love to do, which is to help people with money, and not look at every decision I make as, what does this mean for me financially? Because that's already taken care of, because it's an afterthought.
That's awesome. I wrote that down. I'm taking notes, by the way, but I love that thing you said about don't attach your financial aspirations to your career aspirations. Just make sure that it works.
I have a good friend.
No matter how successful.
Yeah, I have a good friend who's an artist and like high end, like sells his stuff for like $25,000 a piece, and for him, a long time ago, he separated, especially when you're an artist or a creative, to separate your career goals from your financial goals is super important, because it's not like his work was that different when it was selling for $200 at a coffee shop than now it's selling for $25,000 and it's in museums all over Europe. You have to make that separation. And so often people look for their career to solve their financial lives, but I view it the other way around. By making good decisions at home, I can push my career further because I don't need my career to drive my financial life.
That's good. That's good. Awesome. Well, I'll definitely talk about that with my lady friend.
Yeah.
And yeah,
There's
a lot of ins, a lot of outs in that plan. A lot of what have yous.
Do you ever use the line when you're selling rockets, like, if I could put together a plan, a strategy to get you in this rocket, can you see yourself leaving the store here today in that rocket? Do you ever use anything like that?
Well, sometimes I've got the chance to, we're in a meeting, and then, some customers will ask about, how do you guys actually refly those things? And I'll say, well, we'll tell you if you buy a mission with us.
That's right.
And they'll be like, I don't know, let's think about that. I haven't perfected the pitch, though. I'll work on it.
How is Lance Bass in all your marketing materials?
Oh man, Lance Bass. I think he has swung by the factory.
Yeah,
I've definitely seen several astronaut around the office, like wearing their blue jumpsuits and everything.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty cool for like a guy who watched Star Wars and Star Trek and wanted to be an astronaut himself.
Now you're young. How old are you? 34 or something? What are you?
34. Yeah.
So you're
Which is
young.
actually old by the company standards. There's a lot of 20-somethings at the company.
I'm 39, but did you ever see a movie as a kid called Space Camp? Did you ever see that movie?
Oh my God, yeah. And I wanted to go to space camp.
Totally. It was like the greatest movie ever. One of my best friends went to space camp, and I think it's the reason I like him. Like, right? Right?
He could tell you about space camp.
Sure. I mean, he's a PhD in microbiology, which is great, but he went to space camp. Like, that was the greatest movie ever. You're at space camp, and you accidentally get sent to space, of course, because, there's no form signed or anything.
It wouldn't be a great movie unless that happened.
I know. So I just ruined Space Camp for those that haven't seen it.
Spoiler.
Sorry. Well, Jeff,
that's what everybody hoped would happen.
Well, keep going, man. I'm excited. Please give us updates by all means, and I'm going to probably nudge you to get a tour of your facility the next time I'm in LA. So.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I can give tours to friends and family.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, if we're probably not going to become family anytime soon, but
Sure.
I could definitely see us becoming friends.
I'll wear a jumpsuit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, give me a call and we can go grab a bourbon or something, and then I think we'll be friends by the end of that.
Oh my God, this is great. So all right, very good. Well, Jeff, great job. Tell Maude she's really the reason this is going well, and thanks for joining us.
All right, man. Let's go bowling.
All right, let's do it. All right, so that's it for this week's $1 Million Plan. Who knew we'd have a rocket salesperson on? What? This show is out of control. If you want to be on it, be on it. Go to PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. That's all I have for this week. I'm Pete the Planner. See ya.
This is where I came from. Planet Lovetron, where we drop love bombs, funk missiles, and live in soul shelters. No helter-skelter. The heat don't swelter because everybody stays cool. Left many moons ago to bring the philosophies of my ancestors to another place, God. Picked the third rock, gave me to my earth family, and told me to create, and so I am. Pen in my hand, microphone on the stand. Over vinyl, I command and demand. Magnificence in an instance, I can make you dance, cry, or love. Fly as a dove, released from Everest. The fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you Lovetron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Lovetron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you Lovetron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Lovetron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?